Section 6.5, homework problem number 10. So here, all the problems are given. They give us the word problems, but they want us to first to determine if we can solve the problem by doing a division, whether it's 3/2 divided by 1/4 or 1/4 divided by 2/3. So we did a very similar homework problems in chapter 5. So whenever we have multiplication, we were given a word problem and we were asked to determine whether this problem can be solved by multiplying these two fractions. And next, so first we need to do that, and then if it is one of these, so that's the division of fractions, we need to determine which type of division it is, whether it's how many groups or how many units in one. And then we finally, if it's not a division problem, maybe it's addition, maybe it's subtraction, maybe it's multiplication. So you could say how the problem can be solved. But sometimes the problem cannot be solved because it was we were not given enough information. You can just simply say this problem cannot be solved. So let's look at some examples I have. So these are let's look at the first problem. 3/4 of a bag of jelly worms make 1/2 cup. So bag, it's not really a standard measuring unit because we don't really know like one bag, how big the bag is. But 1/2 cup, this cup usually means the measuring unit, 1 cup. And how many cups of jelly worms are in one bag? Okay, so first of all, let's focus on the question here. So the question says, how many cups? So the number of cups in one bag. So if I put this in a way that fits our definition of multiplication, so number of groups and number of units in one, so this can be written as number of units in one group. So which means in this case, bag is our group, cups are our units. So that's the question. And notice that both pieces of information are given. So we need to know how many, and if we go back to the definition again, so we have number of groups times number of units in one group always equals the total number of units in these many groups. So I'm just going to write down total number of units. So notice that this is the question, number of units in one, so this is a question mark. As long as they tell us the number of groups, so again, in our case, group is the bag, the units is the cup. So did they tell us how many groups, which is how many bags? Yes, they did. They told us it's 3/4 of a bag. And did they also tell us the total number of units? In our case, units means cups. So did they tell us how many cups are in these many bags? So yeah, which they also did. So make 1/2 cup. So if they give both of this information, so this is given total number of units, which is 1/2 cup. So that's 1/2 cup here. And number of bags, that's a 3/4 bag. And of course, we can solve for the number of units. And again, multiplication problem, if one of the numbers is unknown, we can do division. We always take the product, which is total number of units, which is 1/2 cup, divided by the other one. So we're going to do 1/2 cup divided by 3/4 bag. And again, because this is the product, in order to solve for the unknown, you always have to take the product and divide by one of the numbers. And the other way so that's why we can solve this problem by doing 1/2 divided by 3/4. And the other way to look at this is, and by the question, again, in one group means per group. So it's kind of like number, we're asking for a number of units per group, well, I can just go ahead and use our case here. It's number of cups per number of cups. Let's use different color. So it's number of cups in one bag. I'm going to change that to per bag. Again, per means division. So you're going to have to take, whenever you see per means slash. So we can see sometimes we say 50 miles per hour. Instead we use the word per, we just put a slash there. But that line literally means division. So per means division. So here we are going to divide the number of cups. So as you can see here, number of cups divided by the number of bags. So we take the number of cups, which is 1/2, divided by the number of bags, which is 3/4 bag. So that's how you tell whether it's 3/4 divided by 1/2 or 1/2 divided by 3/4, it depends on what's the unit following the number. Okay, so that's the first one. And also apparently from the question, as you can see, number of units in one. So that's how many units in one type of division in one group. And to solve it, we can use the rule. So we can do change the division to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction to 4/3. And then we use what we learned in chapter 5 to multiply fractions. We multiply straight across, which is 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. And we can also use what we learned in chapter 2. We can reduce the fraction down to 2/3. Okay, so that's the first question. Now let's look at the second question. So the second question says, the information given is exactly the same. 3/4 bag makes 1 cup, but the question is different. As you can see here, it's a number of bags to make in 1 cup. So the question is number of bags per cup. Per means per divide, per cup. And again, we are given both pieces of information. We know how many bags here. We know how many cups. And so we can divide the number of bags, which is 3/4, by the number of cups, which is 1/2. So notice that when we ask these two different questions, how many cups per bag or how many bags per cup, and we have to divide differently. So again, we can notice that the question is still how many units in one, so that's still how many units in one division. And to do division, we're still going to do keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction, change the division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction, and simplify it, the answer. All right, so that's how we know this is a division question, and how which one divided by which one, and which type of division problem this is. Okay, let's see part C. So we are given 3/4 of a bag, and then a recipe that calls for 1/2 cup of jelly worms. So how many? So this is one batch. So 1/2 cup of jelly worms can make one batch. Let's write down the information. So 1/2 cup can make one batch of the recipe. So the question is, how many batches can we make with the information we were given here was 3/4 bag, 3/4 bag. So here's the problem. They're different, cups and bags, because we don't know one bag equals how many cups, because it really depends on, again, the bag is not a standard measuring unit. You could have a bigger bag, maybe a bigger bag has 20 cups, or a small bag, maybe a small bag can only hold 1 cup. And so we were not given that piece of information, so we will not be able to solve the question, because we have to. If we were given 3/4 cups, so we would know, okay, 1/2 cup makes 1 batch, and 3/4 cup, we can find out the relationship between these 2 cups, and we will be able to figure out how many batches. But we don't know the relationship between cup and bags, so we cannot really solve this problem. So this problem cannot be solved because we don't know how many cups are in 1 bag or in 3/4 bag. Okay, so next one, we have 3/4 cup. A recipe. So notice that they changed in this problem, they changed the bag to cup. So this time, it's pretty much the same setup, but So still 1/2 cup can make 1 batch of cookie. This time they did tell us that we have 3/4 cup makes how many batches of cookies. So and this time it can be solved because both cups and cups, we just have to figure out the relationship between these two cups. So here's the question. Do we do multiplication? Do we do division? Well, if it's division, which one of these division it is? Again, so you can use the definition to help you. So remember that one of the numbers given, it says right here, a recipe calls for 1/2 cup of jelly worm, which tells you 1/2 cup in one recipe, or I can just say one batch of recipe. I'm just going to use one batch. So this number is definitely the number of units in one. So going back to the definition that I kept here. So that number is number of units in, I somehow erased that. So in one group. Again, the definition of multiplication says number of groups times the number of units in one equals the total number of units. So that the 1/2 here, it says 1/2 cup in one batch. So which means this number 1/2 has to be this number here, number of units in one. That's 1/2 cup in one batch. And the other number given, so again, the units is cup. This units group is batch. Okay, because 1/2 cup in one batch, which tells me cup is the unit, batch is the group. So now we're going to get the total number of the other number given, it's 3/4 cup. So remember, cup is the units, so that tells us 3/4 cup is the units. So that's the total number of units we know. So we're going to take 3/4 cup divided by the number of units. That's going to tell us the answer, the number of groups. So again, when you look at the question, it just says how many batches. It didn't say in one something. So the question is how many groups. And also division, we take 3/4, that's total number of units, divided by how many in one. So 3/4 divided by, this is how many in one. So that gives us the answer. So again, we do keep, change, flip to get the answer. Now, next question, 3/4 pound costs $1/2. How many pounds? So when we read the question, how many pounds for $1 per dollar? So apparently this is how many units in one. So number of pounds per dollar. And so if they tell us pounds and dollars, we're going to divide them. So again, they did tell us the pounds, 3/4 pounds. This line means divide. Dollar, they did tell us a dollar, it's $0.50, so divide by 1/2. So we immediately just use the question, how many units in one, and then we follow the question, do the division. So pounds divided by dollar. And again, we can do the same thing as we did previously to get the answer. Now, if you have 3/4 pound of candy and you divide them in half, so this is a little tricky. Divide by 1/2 and divide in half, that's different. Divide by 1/2 means divided by 1/2, that's really division. But divided in half means it's actually times 1/2. Because if you have $6 divided in half, each person gets, that two people divided in half, each person gets $3. So it's either in half, it's either divide by 2 or 6 times 1/2. So we got to remember, in half means it's not division, it's actually multiplication. It means times 1/2. So that's why we have to do multiplication to solve this, 3/4 times 1/2. Finally, the last one, 1/2 pound costs $1. So question, how many dollars should you buy for 3/4 pound? Notice this number is 1/2 per dollar. So this number given is 1/2 pound per dollar. So that's unit in one. And here it's like if we have this many pounds, and how many dollars it would cost. So how many groups would that be? So we're going to take 3/4 the total units divided by unit in 1 to get the answer. Again, the units here is 1/2 pound per dollar in $1. So that means that's the units, and that is the group, number of groups. And so we are given the total number of units, which is 3/4 pounds, and we're solving for how many groups. So we take the total number of units divided by how many units in 1. So if you look at going back here to the definition, you will be able to see. So if you put it back in here, number of units, we have 1/2 pound per dollar. So that tells us dollar is the group, pound is the units. And we have also given 3/4 pounds, because the pounds, that's the units. So I'm going to put 3/4 pounds here. And we're solving for number of dollars, which means the number of groups. And so, as you can see, we always take to division to find one of the missing numbers. We take the product, 3/4, divided by one of the numbers given, 1/2. So that's why we did that. And again, because we're solving for the number of dollars, which is the number of groups. So that's why this is how many groups question.